So today it is National Poetry Writing Day today actually, and we are in Mount Doub Park. And I've been thinking about coming here today, and as I was reflecting on coming here today, I've been thinking about all the paths we've traveled to put down roots here in this place we call home now, on Vancouver Island in Victoria, BC. And this was one of the first places that we landed when we came here to Victoria, Mount Doub Park, also known as the Hill of Cedars and known by the West Coast Salish people as White Rock or White Hill. One of the things that people may not know is that when we came here 4 years ago now, that I actually had a connection to this place from before. I lived here when I was a preschooler for a number of years. I actually lived on the northern coast of the mainland in a very small town called BC. It's a place that gets a lot of snow. They get 3 meters of snow in the winter. And in that place, we used to walk on the paths of snow in the winter in the middle of the roads. We used to drag a wooden sled in the middle of the road. And I remember one particular time, this really stands out in my little 4-year-old memory, dragging the sled behind us. Tim knows this. Everybody knows this story. You probably already know this story.
It's a funny story.
It's a good story. Dragging the wooden sled behind us. It was like one of those old-fashioned sleds with the little skis on them. And baby Trisha, she's not my youngest sister, but at the time she was all bundled up. You know how babies get bundled up? Almost like they're swaddled in their little snowsuits and they can't move. So she was lying on the sled being pulled, and we'd been walking and walking in the snow in the middle of the road, walking for a good time home from friend's house. This is probably after dinner in the dark. And after a time, we perchance looked back, and baby Trisha wasn't on the sled anymore.
The sled was a little bit lighter.
The sled was lighter, and we looked back, and there was baby Trisha lying in the snow in the middle of the road. Luckily, as I said, Kitimat was a very small town, so there weren't any cars moving around in the middle of the road. So she was just safe in the middle of the road in the snow. I mean, this was a town that would get so much snow that you could open your doors in the middle of the winter and the snow would be up. Like, you would literally get snowed in this place. Okay, we also lived in Port Coquitlam on the mainland, which is a suburb of Vancouver. And I went to school there. And we lived there until I was in grade 3. It rained there a lot. A lot. 40 millimeters of rain on average a month. I mean, I had this little poncho, and it was yellow, like, you know, the ones that go out triangle like? Poncho, yeah. And it was yellow, and it said, this was at the time when women were really gaining rights, and my little poncho said,
How old are you?
I'm 45.
Wow.
It said, everything boys can do, girls can do better. Like, the pendulum was really swinging the other way, so girls could gain some rights. I loved that little poncho. Anyway, we walked a lot of paths there. Our family loved hiking. We walked a lot. I loved walking along the Fraser River there, so that was something we did a lot of there as well. when we first arrived on this island of Vancouver Island, Mount Doug, or the White Rock, the White Hill, was actually our meeting place too. We arrived at one of your homes, actually, Shar Murray. Shar knew me only from Yoga with Melissa, and she invited me into her home to stay with her for as long as it took us to find our home. You know, we sold everything. We sold all our furniture, we sold all our belongings. We moved here without a home, knowing that we could live with Shar until we found our own home. And when we got here, we sat around Shar and Murray's dining table. They fed us dinner, and Murray said, how about we go up to the top of Mount Doug and get the lay of the land? And that's what the Coast Salish people used to do years and years, thousands of years ago. This was a sacred meeting place where they used to come and look out and get the lay of the land. And it didn't used to be called Mount Doug, it used to be called White Rock. And about 4 years ago, the Coast Salish people came and they put the sign up so that they reclaimed the name of this hill, the PKOLS, close. I don't know how to say it properly. Somebody can help me phonetically pronounce it in the comments, please. That is the name for White Rock, White Hill. And they erected the sign to reclaim the name. I'm going to read you the sign now. So, located in Coast Salish territory and on the border of the Luquenaq territory, this has been and remains an important meeting place for many nations. The reclamation of the White Rock to replace the colonial name of Mount Douglas reclaims the nation-to-nation agreements negotiated here and supports ongoing efforts of the Indigenous and settler people to restore balanced relationships to the land they call home. So, this sign was put up here beside the Mount Doug Charter, I think about 4 years ago now, and it hasn't been taken down.
That's great.
Yeah.
Beautiful sign.
It's a gorgeous sign.
That's that one. That signs go. This one wins.
I like
thumbs up for that sign.
Thumbs up for the sign. And please, if you can tell me how to phonetically pronounce.
Peacoals?
Is that how you say it? That's how you would say it. Peacoals?
Yeah.
That probably makes sense.
I mean, yeah.
Okay, so let's go look out over the land.
Should we go to the top?
Yeah, let's go to the top. It's going to be windy and cold. Okay, we're going to go up to the top. And there actually is kind of a white rock up there.
Your humans are that way. Hey, sweetie.
Okay, so when I knew we were coming here today, or I don't know, maybe if it was because we were coming here today or not, I wrote this poem this morning, and it's also National Poetry Writing Day today, but I tend to write a poem every day anyway, but regardless, I wrote this poem called Forest Walking. I think I was thinking about my body and soul was already in the forest, thinking about the trails of Mount Doug. So this is what came out this morning.
What kind of trees are
These are the Gary Oak trees, which are featured in the poem. This is what I was thinking about, the Gary Oaks at the top of Mount Doug. You'll see. Okay. Forest walking. What does it mean for me to walk in the forest, a temporary guest in your long-time communal home? This place is steeped in history and the energy of our ancestors. Even the new life of the decomposing leaves, branches, bark, and twigs of the forest floor speak to me under each step. I search pointlessly for the wisdom of the elders, and yet here, the experienced arbutus exhibits adaptability as it carefully and artfully grows, and the wise old Gary Oaks establish wisdom in their diminutive stature. So thanks so much for joining us for our hike to the top of Mount Doug. That's the first time in 4 years that we actually hiked to the top of Mount Doug.
Yay!
High five! So you can actually, in the comments, give us a high five. So high five to Tim and Melissa for climbing to the top of Mount Doug. That's a milestone for us. So
sure
we'd love that if you gave us let's get another high five for climbing to the top of Mount Doug, and give us a thumbs up, and we'll see you next week on the vlog. Thanks so much for watching. We love you sharing our life with us here. Bye.